Now you have a rivalry here. Angel Reese wants to be Draymond Green. But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA, may not care about basketball.
ESPN has finally revealed the future plans for Angel Reese after her first WNBA season, and it's safe to say things aren't looking as bright as expected, or should I say her first crying season now before anyone thinks I'm being too harsh. Let's be clear, Angel Reese has undeniable talent on the court, no question about that, but all that drama, the constant complaints, and hiding behind the race card, yeah, that really tarnished what could have been a promising start, and now ESPN's analysts have broken down her entire performance, and their predictions for her future are absolutely mind-blowing. Well, it was not that surprising for me, but for you it depends on how closely you've been following this. Now, let's not pretend Reese was a total flop. She put up 11.5 points and grabbed 9.2 rebounds per game, which on the surface sounds respectable, solid even. But here's the kicker, those numbers aren't telling the whole truth. Sure, she was doing something on the court, but there's a difference between padding the stats and actually making an impact.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing she should focus on is just finishing around the rim. That is something where maybe her rebounds will be halved. However, she will still make such an impact.
Speaking about rebounds, let's clarify one thing. Reese is a terrific rebounder. She led all rookies with 9.2 per game. Until you recognize that many of those were the result of her own mistakes while playing fetch with herself. Even though you're making progress, is it truly benefiting your team? Critics quickly pointed out that although the double-doubles appeared impressive on the stat sheet, they didn't exactly seem like game-changing plays. Rather, they seemed like self-inflated stats due to missed shots. But who's counting? ESPN.
Angel Reese shot 39% from the field, and she took 90% of her shots from inside 8 feet.
With the self-rebounding aspect, the commentator had a field day, and the odd basketball meme was born. Angel Reese is the queen of tidying up after herself to boost her own numbers. Fans were jubilant over her double-doubles, but experts were scratching their heads and wondering, wait, how many of those rebounds were off her own misses agains? It's the kind of play that looks impressive on the surface, but when you look closer, you can see the mess underneath. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is making incredible triple-doubles, making Reese's numbers seem insignificant in comparison. They weren't leading the team, they weren't winning the big games, and when it came time for her to step up, well, she kinda didn't. She faltered in those high-stakes matches, giving everyone even more reason to doubt her future.
Reese with another rebound, making 18 rebounds. Remember, she's gone back-to-back with 20 rebounds. Looking, pursuing. Once again, Reese with the tip, another chance. Reese trying to put it back. Oh!
Her attendance and ratings are another factor. Angel Reese exuded confidence both on and off the court. She didn't just stroll into the WNBA. Rather, she strutted in with a megaphone, declaring that she was the reason people were tuning in. However, reality had other ideas, and the numbers, oh, those pesky little things, tell a very different story. It turns out that when Reese was sidelined due to a wrist injury, something very strange happened. Attendance increased. Yes, that's right. WNBA fans showed up in droves while Reese was relaxing on the bench. This, as it happens, doesn't exactly say.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
In fact, the exact opposite happened in a game against the Connecticut Sun on August 17th, when attendance spiked to 9,300, 11% higher than the previous home game. People weren't just still showing up, they were showing up more. Dare I say, maybe they weren't there for Reese in the first place. Let's break this down because it's too juicy not to. Reese missed a lot of games towards the end of the season because of that wrist. She claims that common sense would tell you that.
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel.
After Caitlin skipped games following her elimination, the saga came to an end. The NBA was essentially crying into its ratings report. Attendance plummeted, TV viewership dropped, and it appeared as though someone had stolen the fun out of basketball for a hot second. A game in late August saw an 18% decline in TV ratings when Clark wasn't playing. This is a noticeable difference, but it must sting a little because now Reese is in this awkward situation where her entire "I'm the reason you're here" narrative is unraveling, and the media took advantage of this like a hound with a bone. Reese's confidence was questioned by many since it seemed a bit too soon, given that her debut season wasn't exactly a statistical showstopper and that even the attendance figures now don't support her self-proclaimed superstar standing.
The 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership.
Let's just say that Reese isn't benefiting from the comparisons that have become inevitable between these two rookies. While Clark has emerged as the new darling of the NBA, Reese wants to change the story right now, but the hype isn't enough to support her. She needs to deliver real, game-changing performances. Can she pull it off? Reese is in this strange limbo where her bravado doesn't quite match the receipts. The pressure is on big time for her sophomore season for now, though. It seems that Reed's rhetoric is a little louder than her actions, and the numbers don't lie. I suppose we'll find out.
Angel Reese, playing for a team that went 13-27, missed the playoffs and their coach got fired. And she missed the last 6 games of the season with an injury. Caitlin Clark plays all 40 games, leads the Indiana Fever to their best record since 2015, leads the league in assists, puts up almost 20 points a game.
Here's an additional explanation for why the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese saga, what was once a rivalry, has swiftly evolved into an unflattering spotlight on Reese's performance. And let's be honest, it hasn't helped her at all. In the meantime, Reese had some moments, yes, but they were more like sparks than fireworks. While Clark was out there leading her team and dropping stats, Reese was kind of just there, making the all-rookie team, but compared to Clark's insane season, Clark broke some records, led her team to the playoffs, and just, casually became the league's next big thing.
Point being, she disrespected the official. That was the official response to this.
Naturally, this dynamic has divided the fans evenly. Reese, in typical fashion, chose to fully embrace her role as the antagonist in this rivalry, but rather than coming across as a fierce competitor, she ended up looking like a beggar, which isn't exactly a good look when you're up against Clark, who exudes that same humble, hard-working vibe. Reese attempted to belittle Clark, but it's difficult to prevail in a fight when the other person is too preoccupied with setting new records to notice the slight being made.
Angel Reese is the villain, Caitlin Clark is the hero, and Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected, and it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's 2 of us that changed the game of women's basketball, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. I was a part of that 2 years ago in the national championship game, and it's going to continue to be that way from here on out. I kind of love it. I don't agree with her. It's way more Caitlin Clark than it is Angel Reese, but I like the fact that she's willing now to play more of the villain, and then she gets herself tossed from the game.
Reese wasn't content to stop at being the villain. No. She also tried her hand at being the victim, griping about unfair criticism from the media and even labeling Caitlin and her supporters as racists. However, WNBA fans are devoted. They enjoy a good underdog story and players who accept responsibility for their mistakes and work to improve. Reese's finger-pointing is getting old because her rookie season wasn't very dominant and because her on-court performances didn't support it. Fans aren't buying into the woe is me act.
Angel Reese said, hey, she'll play the villain role. Kennedy Carter certainly embraces that as well. Chad, right after we're discussing Angel Reese and the villain in the storyline and the plot that brings eyeballs to the product of Caitlin Clark on tour across the WNBA. She's ejected for the first time in her WNBA career.
You have to love the irony. Even though Reese, who puts so much effort into playing the villain of the league, is now in a difficult situation. Being the villain is cool and all, but if you're going to play the villain card, you kind of have to win like LeBron, or at least scare some people on the court. Clark is over there, winning over fans with her drama-free, just let me play style, while Reese is stuck trying to convince everyone that she's being treated unfairly.
But everybody had an opinion on Angel Reese, and Angel Reese is stirring this up. So while she doesn't, Angel Reese always comes off as the victim. Angel Reese needs Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark does not need Angel Reese.
You have to love the irony. Even though Reese, who puts so much effort into playing the villain of the league, is now in a difficult situation. Being the villain is cool and all, but if you're going to play the villain card, you kind of have to win like LeBron, or at least scare some people on the court. Clark is over there, winning over fans with her drama-free, just let me play style, while Reese is stuck trying to convince everyone that she's being treated unfairly.